Welcome back to Bay Area Panthers Weekly. Once again, the Panthers, a big win this week, 44-41 over the Tulsa Oilers. Could be a matchup eventually in the national championship of the IFL because two really good football teams coming down to the final play of the game. A fantastic game this week. And coming up next week, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But heading on the road to Vegas, so some big tests. But this past week, the game against Tulsa, they had to find a way to get it done defensively and offensively to outscore the opponent. A member of this offense who had a shot in camp and then came back recently has been making plays, a new face to the show, BK Smith. And BK, welcome here tonight.
Hey, glad to be on the show, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you on. And your story about getting to the IFL is a little bit circuitous. And so talk about how you got to the IFL and what that was like for you.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. Yeah, actually didn't start varsity until my senior year of high school. Just going through a lot of adversity, throughout my years of playing, from being a fifth year on scout team to, the next two seasons being first team and second team all conference receiver and having over 1,000 yards. So just the journey's been great. I try to embrace the adversity that comes with it, and it just makes me stronger. So happy to be here, happy for the opportunity to play here, and I'm ready to see what the future beholds.
Well, I'm one of those guys with you, so I wasn't a starter until my senior year in high school either. Ended up breaking my ankle as a junior. I played on defense and then ended up being a starting quarterback my senior year. So I get it, man. It's hard when you're getting those shots. And we talked about it with Joe Fouché a little bit in that there's more good football players than there are places for those guys to play.
Right.
And so getting the opportunity can be hard. Finding a way to stick your foot in the door, right, is a tough one. And this year in camp for you, you came to camp with the Panthers and you ended up getting released. Talk about that. Talk about the mentality of going through that, and then how they brought you back and what it's been like since.
Yeah, well, really, afterwards, I had to look in the mirror, take a step back and, just refocus and really ask myself, is this what you want to do? And the answer was yes. So from the moment I asked that question to myself, I knew I wanted to play. I knew I was capable of still playing. So I just had to add that fuel to the fire and, just continue to work, continue to wait for my time, because I just knew if I kept praying and kept working and doing what I got to do, then that opportunity is going to present itself again, and just had to be ready for it.
And it did. And you came out and you started making some plays. How hard is it when you go to camp, you get released, and then all of a sudden you've got to plug yourself back into the offense? No matter what they say, it takes several weeks to get into playing shape, right?
Okay.
So when you come back, talk about what that was like coming back to be with the team.
Yeah, it was a transition. I was still training and stuff when I was back home, but the main thing was processing the plays. Pretty much for the most part, I remember most of the plays. It was just processing it faster in the huddles, in and out of the huddles, and getting prepared before the play starts.
Yeah, no doubt about it, right? Getting the language back, listening to that in the huddle, being a part of it, understanding where you fit in the route, all those things
Right.
so key. And you didn't have the weeks to work the chemistry, but you came out and made a couple of big plays in that San Antonio game. Talk about that.
Yeah, had to start that week, as players with some injuries. So I just wanted to come in and just play my role and be of any help to the team as I could. When my number was called on, I just wanted to be able to make plays and, be there for my teammates.
So, what's the hardest part for you as a receiver, adjusting from the big field game to the indoor game?
I would just say more so angles, there's not as much room for on the sidelines, to run routes a certain way. So you got to find ways to, create that separation with them condensed fields. So just being able to find new ways to get open and create more separation for yourself, I would feel like is the hardest part.
You guys played Tulsa this past weekend, and talk about that game, talk about that team, and what it's like now to break the starting lineup, to be out there playing, and what it was like to play a team who you may end up seeing if you continue into the championship game, because that was a good football team.
Oh yeah, great football team, great matchup. Felt good being out there. Felt like I did well. I left some plays out there, but we always got room for improvement. Looking forward to potentially playing them again, and just continue to keep working and focus on what we got.
Talk to me about being a part of this team. A lot of personalities. One thing I've noticed, everybody I interview, I really like this football team.
Oh yeah, I mean you could even see it during camp. It's a very team oriented team. Guys want to be in the locker room. Guys want to be around each other. I think that's big. When you're trying to build a winning team and a championship team, I feel like the guys have to be all brought in together. And I feel like that's kind of what we got going on in that locker room with the culture.
No doubt about it. And talk about playing for Coach Keefe. He's a high energy guy now. What's it like playing for Rob Keefe?
Oh man, it's amazing. He's a great coach. He's always having us well coached. Having us ready to go. Love playing for him. Great energy. Great guy to be around, and I'm excited for what the future holds for us.
So if you were going to say there's one guy on this team who took you under their wing and said, okay, here's how you do it. Here's how you run these routes. It's a pretty young team.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be hard to find mentors, but if there's a guy who's been helping you figure out routes, figure out schemes, who's that? Who is that?
The older guys, who've been here, Josh Tillmans, Tosin, and even RZ, who's been injured for a couple weeks. But just them guys being in the league a year before me and knowing certain things to do, certain what to do and not to do, just been giving me little pointers and stuff, and it's been taking me a long way.
That's great. Coming up, you guys play the Vegas Nighthawks, and then you follow right up with Arizona. So the next couple of weeks, about the next 4 games, you've got Vegas twice, you've got Arizona, and then you travel to northern Arizona. And your last 7 games, 5 are on the road. How difficult does that make the task to try to get to the playoffs?
Yeah, those are great teams that we're about to play. We're gonna have to compete. We're gonna have to work hard, have a great week of practice, and just play our game. I feel like we're kind of in a role right now, and I feel like if we can continue to just be ourselves, continue to go to work every day at practice, we'll be fine.
Limited road experience, though, so far, right?
Oh
And then
yeah.
now we've got 5 road trips coming up. And so, from your experience, what's the key to winning on the road?
You know, uh, Playing together. No turnovers. We have to score every drive. That's always been the goal for offense. Scoring every possession. Limit turnovers. Just playing together. I feel like that's the main thing, being together and you know, just continue to work hard.
And what is your goal, your personal goals in terms of, A, what do you have to improve in this league, but then what do you hope to get out of playing here?
The main opportunity is, to play in the NFL. I want to get to the highest level. But I just want to take every day, and work as hard as I can. If the opportunity presents itself, I'll be ready. I can, like I said earlier, control what I can control, be where my feet is, and go to work every day and let the rest speak for itself.
Yeah, and what do you have to work on? What part of your game can you improve to make that happen?
Just staying healthy. I feel like is the main thing. Availability is the best ability. That some words that they say. Uh, just staying healthy. I feel like my routes could definitely be tuned up a little bit. It's just the little things that I can tune up. But I think being consistent and going out there and staying healthy is the best thing that could I could do for myself.
And if you had a tip, any young receivers or young coaches who are listening to this right now, what tip would you give them as they try to advance in their career?
Don't quit. The main thing, as hard as it might seem, things might not be going your way. Somebody else might be getting the opportunity that you feel like you deserve. Don't quit. Don't worry about yourself. Continue to work. Continue to embrace the adversity that comes with it, and stay prayed up. Trust God.
Absolutely. Now you've got your master's in business administration. What do you want to do with that when you're done playing?
But when I'm done playing, I want to open up a sports complex. I'm still deciding on if I want like multiple fields and like host different tournaments for different sports, or just like a simple like a gym where I could have like like a turf field in there, some weights, and train athletes as well. Still deciding on that, but that's definitely where I want to go with that for sure.
Yeah, and now you were doing some training of athletes in this off season,
Mhm.
right? How'd you like
Yes,
it?
sir. It was fun experience. I was in Tampa, training at Cooper Sports Performance. Got a chance to, get a glimpse of, how training athletes works. I'm always training myself, so I got a chance, look at it from a different point of view and see how I can use my knowledge to help younger athletes, excel in their sport.
So what did you find different? Because when we train ourselves, that's one thing, but now
Hmm.
having to teach it, You
Yeah.
never learn something like you do when you teach it. So what did you find out in doing that this year?
Really just, looking at the little things, form was a real thing that, was had to learn was looking at certain things like, oh, maybe they're not hinging at the hip enough, okay, that could hurt their back, or, you know, overreaching on their stride, oh, that could pull their hamstring. Just the little things that I didn't focus on when I was training as much, and I can, see it for myself and go, oh, like, okay, maybe he's not doing it right because he's doing that. Or, his form's a little off. If I can tune that up a bit, maybe, he'll have more flexibility or, more strength in that area.
And it's amazing. Being able to help people and give back is one of the most amazing things you can do. And so, fantastic opportunity. Now I love Tampa. Obviously, I came out of college and I played for the Bucks. And so, what part of Tampa were you living in?
I was in Citrus Park. It's probably like 15 minutes from the airport.
Yep. Yep. So we were at One Buck Place when I was down there. We worked out right on the airport at the time. And
Really?
so, yeah. And so I know it very well, but I love it down there. And boy, Tampa is a hard place to beat. What's your favorite part about California?
Favorite part? I love the hills. Like every morning, practicing out, going out to practice and just seeing the hills and, the houses, all the houses in the hills is a crazy. I always say it looks fake. Like just coming from Kentucky, that's not something that we're used to. So just being able to, go out there and practice in front of such a beautiful scene is amazing to me.
Yeah, Louisville doesn't have that, and Tampa definitely doesn't have that.
Definitely
Highest
doesn't
point in
have.
Florida is like 96 feet. I
Yeah.
remember that. I got my pilot's license when I was down there, so you weren't getting very high in Tampa. Like
Oh
the freeway
yeah.
overpass is the tallest thing you're going to
Yep.
see. So, but a fantastic place and a great opportunity to kind of live in
Oh
all
yeah.
those places. BK, I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to kind of watching you make some big plays as you grow, as you get back into football shape, and as you continue to contribute to this offense. It's been fun so far, but I'm looking for big things for you coming up in the near future.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Mike, for having me.
Absolutely. And for everybody at home, this week, Panthers on the road at Vegas, Lee Family Arena at Henderson, Nevada. 6:05 kickoff Saturday, June 14th. Kevin Richardson and myself will have the call on that game. You can catch us live. The pregame starts at 5:50 right here on KMBR 1050. That's it for Bay Area Panthers Weekly for tonight. Thank you to Rob Keefe, Joe Fouché, and of course, BK Smith. Always great to have the players on. The more I get to know this team, the more I get to like this team. So it's a team well worth supporting. And I appreciate you at home listening to our show here tonight. Until next week, you can hear our call, and then we'll be back with Bay Area Panthers again next week. I'm Mike Pawlawski for the Panthers and Bay Area Panthers Weekly. We'll catch you next time.